Hey guys, Ty the Dog Guy here, and I want to talk about something that's a little bit controversial. And so what I'm talking about is the use of electric collars to help with things like anxiety and aggression. And so one of the biggest things that you read online, so when people are looking like, all right, my dog's anxious, my dog's aggressive, or is acting aggressive, or is lunging and barking, or reactive, or whatever kind of terms you want to use, you'll often look online and people say, oh, don't use electric collars, this is going to make things worse. And when people ask me about that, I'll be honest with them and say, that's accurate. You very well can make aggression worse, anxiety worse using electric collar. Or you can make it better. It's all depending on how you use the collar. Because what a lot of people have done, and this is where electric collars get a bad rap. What a lot of people have done is they've got this dog who's aggressive. They grab a collar, and when I say aggressive, I'm using a wide, I'm lumping in a lot of different types of dogs. I'm talking about dogs who, who lunge at people, who bark at people, who attack people, who bite people, who are fearful and lunge at people and bark at people. I'm lumping a lot of things in. But the reality is, so I'm going to call all of that like aggressive behavior or whatnot. Now, some of these dogs might not be aggressive, but I'm lumping all of this aggressive behavior into one. So just recognize that as I'm talking about this. So what a lot of people do is they have aggressive behavior with their dog. And so they grab one of these collars, they put it on, they're walking on the street, the dog gets aggressive and pop, 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 they correct the dog. And I get it, I get the mindset of where they're coming from, is they want to show the dog, hey, that's not appropriate. But what often happens is dogs will often, more often than not, form associations based on what they're looking at. And so dogs aren't terribly creative, they're not terribly imaginative. So if I'm a dog walking down the street and I'm really focused on that dog and I'm growling and barking and suddenly pop, 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 I very well could be like, oh, I really hate that dog now because I'm looking at that dog and suddenly it's hurting. I really don't like that dog. And so that's one way that oftentimes people can make aggression worse when they're using electric collar. So how can we actually make it better using an electric collar? I want to talk about three things. Mindset, relationship, and correction. I've got great handwriting. Hopefully you can read some of this. So mindset. The first thing you need to look at is what is the mindset of the dog that is acting aggressively. And this is very simple. It's chaotic, it's nervous, it's anxious, it's fearful. It can be a lot of different things, but what it's not is calm, thinking, rational, responsible. Like it's none of those things. And so every time I'm dealing with a dog with aggressive behavior, we know right away we've got to work on the mindset. We've got to induce calmness, we've got to induce thoughtfulness, we've got to induce the dog reasoning through a problem rather than just using instinct. Instinct is much better served out in the wild. Your dog's a domestic creature. His or her instincts are awful. I mean, you think about like the dog walking down the street barking at every dog, and I'm using dog on dog aggression, but if your dog is aggressive towards people or kids or whatever, same concept. So you have this dog walking down the street barking at every dog because he's anxious, thinking every dog is out to get him. His instincts are awful. His mindset is wrong. He needs to be paying attention to your instincts and to what you dictate as a better mindset. When I say dictate, I don't mean that in a harsh, domineering way. What I mean is you have better understanding of the world around you, and so you need to be the one setting the parameters and the rules of like, hey, actually that guy was trying to attack us. It's okay that you were aggressive. But 99.999% of the time, those are just other dogs behind a fence. They pose you no threat. That's another dog on a walk. He poses you no threat. It's that your mindset is wrong, dude. You can't be doing this. So how do we induce that? How do we induce a mindset that is calm and respectful? Well, I always kind of picture a seesaw. Let me see if this shows up here. On the seesaw, one end we've got chaos. The other end we've got control. So these are two opposing forces. In nature, they oppose each other. And so this is a seesaw, it never balances. So we can never ever get it to balance. We've either got one up or one down. maybe at varying degrees, but it never balances. And so this is what people find is that when they have a dog with aggression issues, when there's nothing going on and the dog is not feeling chaos in as far as a mindset, their control is up, which by necessity pushes the chaos is down. And so when there's nothing going on, the dog sits, lies down, comes, whatever. But they notice that the second the chaos goes up, because now there's a distraction or a dog or a person or whatever, now the chaos is up and the control is down, and all of that control goes out the window. So they can't get the dog to sit. They can't get the dog to lie down. They can't get the dog to heel or come or whatever. And so it's much more complex than this, but to simplify it, if we can push the control up around these scenarios where the dog is feeling stressed or anxious or aggressive, we will necessarily push the chaos down. And what that means is, if I can get some great obedience around distractions, the dog can't exist in two mind frames at the same time. He can't be like, hey, I'm heeling perfectly and I'm sitting perfectly and I'm totally paying attention to you and I'm being aggressive to that other dog over there. It can't happen. They oppose each other. They fight each other. And so where we can induce control, we will see a byproduct: calmness, thoughtfulness, reasoning, etc. And so to get that mindset, again, it's more complex than this, but we work on a lot of obedience. Not just obedience, because again, if you're dealing with this, my guess is your dog has some obedience and knows how to sit and lie down. But the second that those distractions come in, that obedience is out the window. So when I say obedience, I'm referring to obedience with heavy distractions, where the dog will still listen to you even though stuff's going on. So if we can get that, we're a huge part of where we need to be. Now, this happens to funnel into the relationship part. So the relationship part, that's an arrow, by the way, in case you can't tell. I draw really great arrows. I majored in technical school, vocational school. So relationship. Now, when I'm talking about relationship, what I don't want to this is not domineering. There's a lot of folks that think, oh, when my dog's being aggressive, I got to put them down on their back. I got to growl at them. Some people do that. I've got to be really harsh with them. I got to show them I'm the boss and I'm the alpha. I want you to get that out of your head. This is not about being the boss or the alpha. The proper relationship between a dog and an owner is a two-way street of respect, mutual respect. So what I mean by that is I need to respect my dog, respect where he's at in his training, or she, respect what's going on with challenges and their mindset. I need to respect them as an individual and love them and not try to be like some sort of domineering boss to them. I need to respect them, and in return I want them to respect me and see me in this leadership role as someone who is a benevolent leader who knows better. And that's what a leader is. It's somebody that knows better and sets expectations. Well, not always even someone that knows better. I want to strike that from the record. But at least contextually, in this case, you know better. You know that dog is not going to come attack this dog when he's behind a fence. You know that dog is not a threat to this dog when we're just walking on the same street together. So anyways, you need to have that relationship where you respect your dog and your dog respects you and says, okay, I'm going to respect your instinct more than my own because my instinct is lousy. That's what the dog is saying internally, right? So anyways, how do we get that level of respect? Well, there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of it is protocols. A lot of it is, when I say, certain things that we do as far as like obedience and structure. But again, the biggest thing is actually some really good obedience here. And so not to kill, to beat a dead horse, but if we get some great obedience, we're going to help fix the mindset. But that's also going to lead us over to the right relationship. And so the right relationship is, the dog saying, I see another dog over there, but I'm going to heel properly. I'm going to put your will ahead of mine. I see that somebody's at the door and I want to be aggressive, but I'm going to do the downstay like you asked me to. I'm going to put your will ahead of mine. And the more the dog puts your will ahead of their own, the more they look to you in this leadership role. And it's not like that has to be forever. It's not like every single decision is my will, my way or the highway. But in these contexts, I need the dog to realize My will is more important than your will. It frankly just is, because if not, dangerous things happen. You're going to get in a fight. You're going to run out and get hit by a car. You're going to get put down because you bit somebody or something. You're going to scare. Whatever the case might be, my will needs to be more important than your will. And that's just the bottom line. It has to be that way. So anyways, great obedience helps us with the mindset that leads to the right relationship, which leads us over here to actually the correction part. And so mindset and relationship, getting that great obedience, we can do, that's where the electric collar comes in. The electric collar is a great tool when we use it on a low level to get great obedience. So for example, let's say we have a dog that doesn't come when called. And so what do? In a nutshell, with an electric collar, what we would do is we would take the dog, put him on a long 20-foot leash, 30-foot leash. We tell the dog, come, here, whatever you want to say. If the dog comes, great. If not, I'm just going to hold it down on a low level, just enough to get the dog's attention. I'm going to pull on that leash and the dog starts to come. I release the button. We praise the dog, give him a treat, something like that. And we do that over and over and over. We do it over and over and over again. And soon the dog starts to realize, oh, okay, when I come, that little tickle shuts off. And it's not like painful, but it's annoying. It's annoying enough for the dog to say, okay, I'd rather come. It's in my best interest. There's treats. It's a little bit annoying if I don't come. And so in such a way, we can get the dog to heel properly, to come when called properly, to stay properly, lie down properly, I'll do all these things we want the dog to do. It's frequent that a lot of dogs we deal with, we don't even have to get to the correction part of fixing aggression. And so, like I said, that's where most people jump to begin with. They buy the collar, the dog's being aggressive, they pop, 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 but they've done none of this. They haven't helped the mindset, they haven't worked on the relationship, and so as a result, there's no foundation to work on, and they're just going straight to the correction, and the dog has no clue what that stimulation means, so they're upping the level, and now they're shocking the heck out of the dog. The dog's like, this is painful, this hurts, I hate the other dog, I hate this whole experience, and that's where you get a really bad name for this product, and it wasn't the product. It was the product used improperly. So how do we get a dog to feel more comfortable even though he's anxious or aggressive? Well, we use that tiny little stimulation that isn't fear-inducing, and we teach the dog to come and to heel, and as a result, that seesaw thing balances and adjusts, and now we have a dog who's much more calm, he's much more understandable, he's thinking, so now when he's presented with something, he can work through it and he can reason through it. And so we just help that dog with anxiety issues to lose some of his anxiety, to lose his aggression through an electric collar by working on obedience and relationship outside of the aggressive scenarios, and then carrying that obedience and relationship into the aggressive scenarios. We never freaked the dog out. We never scared the dog. We never pounded on the dog, and showed the dog who's boss with the electric collar hitting buttons. We simply taught the dog some great obedience and use that to work on mindset and relationship, so that we didn't even have to correct the dog. But if we do have to correct the dog for the aggression, now it doesn't have to be like this big pounding correction. It's now more of a reminder, like, hey, maybe a tug on the leash. Maybe now we use a method that we've developed called the step back recall with the e-collar, showing the dog, no, when you're feeling that way, I need you to pay attention to me. And now we can do that based on that level of low correction, and therefore we don't have to freak the dog out, make the dog worried, make the dog nervous, and make the anxiety and aggression worse. So that's kind of a long explanation for if you have a dog with aggression anxiety issues, will an electric collar make it worse? The answer is yes if you use it wrong, and the answer is no if you use it right. If you need help with it, underneath the video I'll put resources on how we can help you. How we can help you with either video training wherever you live in the world, or if you're in Utah and you want to work with us directly, I'll put resources down below so we can help you work through these aggression issues in a way that's safe and healthy, and makes your dog a much happier dog and you a happier owner. So thanks for watching. Go down and check out the links below the video.